All right. Off the cuff, I'm just going to answer some questions about what do I see as the big difference between European training for basketball and the U.S. training. So I played at community college in America. I started very late. My story with school is definitely a weird one. Being one of the youngest nerdy students ever in history to attend college, then to come back as a basketball player in your late 20s to learn the game. All right, so anyway, because I learned the game in my 20s, I had no bad habits was one thing that people constantly said. Now, I had no good habits either, but it was easier to program the good habits if you don't have a lot of bad ones that they have to break. Biggest differences right away. I think there was more emphasis on post-up play, taking advantages of matchups. So if we had a really small guy guard you in the post, we're going to immediately attack that right away, multiple times. Whereas many players here aren't taught back to the basket play as one of their main fundamentals. I think big men can shoot three-pointers here typically before they have a strong post move. And there's some guys, much better players than me on this national team back here, that post play isn't the most important part of their game. All right. Now I'll mention some things I've noticed from the professional levels and seeing guys train in the gym here and coaches. Look, the coaching staff is, they're getting the same information. These guys are teaching the same stuff. Sleep, food, different types of training, whether it be high interval or how much time in the gym. The education is the same mostly from these guys. I've sat at a couple of coaches meetings with guys that have been doing it for many, many years here. And I was very surprised how it seems different, the ideas that we have. Like, for me, communication and respect and filling holes that might make them more employable or able to be on other teams kind of is more important. Whereas there can be a lot of emphasis on getting all the team movements done. Now, some coaches will either focus more on the details of things or try to put big play into picture, try to figure out how everybody should move so they automatically do it. But kids aren't necessarily so intuitive at figuring out, well, why am I doing this? They're kind of just learning to move, but maybe not the details like, well, when I come off this curl, I'll be really open and you really got to focus on this. I can tell you how many times referees have had a hard time reffing post play, and players have a hard time understanding just those types of situations too. Like, I could have a tiny guy on me and I'm a decent finisher inside, and I could have a great seal posting my guy up and they can swing the pass to the other side, which would have gotten somebody subbed out on a college team if you had a good seal and you didn't go in there for that. The amount of time in the gym, the highest level, they're doing everything, right? 2-a-days, weights separately, right amount of plyometrics. They're using heavy weights. The Finnish genetics are different here. I grew up as an older man, played in America, and so I was always athletically far behind. Whatever, genetically too. Coaches used to tell me that too. Here, you don't have these guys like, oh man, this guy would be maybe a perfect example. I think Anthony Davis jersey on. You don't have any of these guys that can just go give you 30 points, 20 rebounds without having a play ran for them. There's none of these just raw athletes that are just snatching down rebounds. We've got a couple guys, Luka Doncic and Markkanen in the NBA right now that people are watching. But these guys are not going to be, they're good rebounders, but they're certainly not just like built for it like some guys can be. So I had a much harder time doing those small details because of my size. In the US, at 6'7", I was 250 in college. So I really had to use my body and lean on people and try to get them tired. It was just I would try to keep guys that were stars from scoring 30 to try to keep them down to 15, and that's a good job. So I just assumed that I would have to be a smarter player than most guys I suited up against, because I was never going to be more athletic. I mean, the layup lines in pickup games in the U.S. will have guys jumping to the top of the backboards. I think I had a friend of mine. I played on a Lomita team where we had a Nigerian national team guy, 6'11", that could touch the top of the backboard, and multiple other good players there too from colleges. And these are just dudes on courts playing pickup. It wasn't even a professional level over there. So you really get this, like, if I don't go box him out, he's going to get a highlight dunk over me 5 times in a game. Well, you see, I'm going to focus more on boxing him out than I am going to focus on my shooting from outside. So maybe that's a big difference, is the way that we attack matchups. I think people are trained almost similarly to, depending on, no difference on the size. Like, so I think a lot of the big men here get a lot of guard stuff, and we don't differentiate between it. People train about the same, but this is, in the US, the same. I used to struggle every day at 250 pounds to keep up with the guys that were much lighter than me. We use a lot more stimulants before the games in the US. Like caffeine is just, people are drinking energy drinks before, during, after, caffeine pills during games, before, during practice. So there's a lot more of this using supplements, pre-workout, stuff like that. There's a big culture of that in the US. It's here too, but it's not as like culturally relevant. The steroid use is also lower here, and it's also much more low key. Normally athletes are only willing to take 1 or 2 steroids, unlike the multiple that are allowed in many other sports, right? Like, let's look at boxing. Do you think I don't even think they do testing there. Japanese sports, they used to have it in the contract that we will not test for steroids. I'm pretty sure, please, I want to be corrected on any of this stuff, but don't they allow 3 steroids? Not allow, but they do not test for 3 in the NBA. Man, I really hope that I can get some critique on my thoughts on these types of things, because I'm not selling a product. I'm here because I'm not interested in risking all the games that I do. So what I mean is, if I'm going to talk about vaccines or something political, I'd rather do it with just some random people that are not part of my social circle, because I want to become a better leader and try to figure these things out myself. I don't need to thump people with ideas that aren't formulated yet. So it's really rough if I take these things out and try to do science with people around me, because they don't have the patience for it or the tolerance for it. And I seem to be quite different in my energy levels and my patience to do things. So big downside with exercising here. So I think there is more emphasis on weight training programs in the US too. I think when you get to a university from Europe, you're going to be pretty shocked with how you're going to do it on the same day as your other training, and you're going to go hard. They're going to, depending on your trainer, they're going to push you pretty hard, but the trainer's going to be young and an athlete. He's not going to normally feel sorry for you at all. They want that player job if they weren't the coach. They already mentioned communication. I'm sure I said the word, but what I mean to say is there are many teams I've had where kids don't say hi to you. They just walk in and they can leave without saying a word. And they're very smart kids. It's not like they're developmentally disabled at all, but you would almost guess it from coming from America and how much people are willing to talk, because I don't know, you just kind of learn that closed mouths don't get fed in the US, I guess. And So if I'm going to be around coaches, or if I don't understand something, I'm going to be damn sure I'm taking advantage of making sure that I can get to the point where you understand I'm not getting it. Make it easier on everybody. Might make it more difficult, because coming here with the US mindset does not mean that you will have just an inherent advantage on any Finnish team. That's crazy. There's not so much shit talking. Amongst locals, like the people in Europe, they don't have this culture of shit talking. Like, I'm not saying they don't do it. I'm not saying they won't play dirty, but I'm just saying it's pretty normal for Americans at any level, bum level to pro, to just kind of take it as part of the game. I'm going to talk so much shit about you that hopefully you actually try to fight me, and then I'm going to, hey, what's wrong? I didn't do anything. He's the one that swung on me. And so Americans will be surprised, man, why do people get so butthurt when we're playing pickup with them? Well, because they don't call you out when you say something that's stupid at the time, or who knows. Stereotypes on the positive of the training. You're not going to have to worry about a Luka Doncic or a Markkanen fucking up. I really doubt Markkanen's going to go get anybody pregnant. I really doubt he's going to hit and run somebody. He's not going to do anything John Jones style, okay? No scandals, no nothing. I know this is really, should really be offending everybody because it's stereotyping a lot and stuff like that, but come on, stereotyping is so useful. It's so useful in many ways, and I'd love to go into that more. I've been stereotyped many times in ways that didn't work and ways that did. People said, oh, you're white, you'll never be an athlete, you'll never make it as a professional. They never thought I'd even get a scholarship to go anywhere because I started so late, and because of my genetics and the science that they had, saying things like, well, you won't be able to build the fast twitch muscle fiber. Yes, but they were partially true. If you, everybody saying I couldn't make it made me push myself to realize, okay, the bar is that high, nobody expects me to. Well, I can easily try for that, and if I don't get the results, I won't be that upset if I didn't get there. I understood there were cheaters and people that have done more. But I could see the goal line, and now I'm living my life. I'm like my dream of like of 5 years. I've worked so many jobs before, and I've had so many fun ones. I really wanted to be a pilot. I don't fit in aircraft. I'm too big. So, yeah, well, it works well in basketball at least. But there's clearly no, one last thing I'll get into before I cut it off. There's no barrier for a Finnish athlete to stop you from succeeding against the US. My thoughts on what makes us strictly different: the hormones in the meat. Our food is very different. So we normally gain a lot of fat as a young kid compared to Finns, but they're starting to get all this stuff too. We have a culture of a higher narcissism, I think. So we're more Instagram focused type thing. So we use that narcissism and vanity to push ourselves in the gym to get six packs and have. This kind of causes a lot of health problems too. You've got a lot of Americans with this rounded shoulder because we've got too tight pecs and we don't do so much on the back. I'll put it this way. My advantage from coming from the US to Europe are, and I should do the reverse as well. My advantages coming here are, I played around tougher competition in pickup basketball than at many higher levels. So you didn't even have to get you get destroyed by many people much greater level than you, much more athletic, and you get more types of players. I have people that could just drive past me, people that could just jump over you, people that could just use their body and not have to do anything. So you get that advantage. I think I'm a little more cerebral of a player, having learned how to be, just try not to get dominated. That kind of helps. I have more modes of play, maybe. Tougher. I'm not saying Finnish guys aren't tough, but when you grow up as the only Finn on a team and you're the only white player and people are trying to punk you all the time and you're around gang activity and there's shootings around you and people are killed all the time and you see people homeless at 18 right in front of me. I might be succeeding, but you realize, holy shit, life is fucked up. So the advantage is when it comes time for me to say, should I get in the gym to try to do a little more work on this? Yeah, you definitely should. You definitely should. So I think maybe that gave me more of a mind frame to do the competition, because otherwise maybe I'm too much of a soft millennial or I'm too lazy to do it. But with the clear competition lines and seeing how good, like seeing clearly where the limit is to get the jobs, and you get to play against those guys, so you kind of get that intimate, okay, I'm not that good yet type of stuff. But you get sharpened against these guys and you become unafraid. Like what, every single day somebody tells you you're a bitch, you're gonna apologize and walk out of the gym and just say, hey, sorry guys, I don't want any problems. So that can be good, because I mean, you can't scare us so easy. Like, oh, it's so funny when people talk shit on the court here. Like, what are you gonna do on the court? We're just gonna get kicked out and permanently banned, and the entire country will probably, it's crazy. You get in a fight on a court, they think he's an animal, you should never hire that guy again. Get in a fight off the court, you don't even go to jail. It's a day in jail or something like that until you're sober. Advantages coming from the one side to the other. Okay, so I would say, yeah, so there's no political correctness in LA, so that really toughens you up. I don't need to hear, oh, but at least you're a smart player. I didn't need that kind of like pat on the ass. I knew I was the worst guy. I saw where the line was. Didn't feel sorry for myself, just either try or give up. Boom. I enjoyed that. For me, it was good. I bet it crushes some others. But well, that's why it's not meant to be easy. That's why I'm here and not many other people have been. Flipping it the other way, if I came from Finland, holy shit, I wouldn't have had to worry about working while I was playing basketball. So if I could have like instilled the drive that I had when I was 25, 26, learning the game and saying, let's get as good as possible. And I see where the bar is. And if I want to get as good as Kawhi Leonard, I'm going to have to train harder than him. Good luck, pretty hard. He sets the bar really high. That works. But so in Finland, you can be poor and you can have support to play a sport. Whereas in the US, if you hurt your knee at 18 years old, no, I think even if you're younger than 18, I don't think they do ACL repairs with the government stuff. They'll repair your bone, but they won't, repair like ACLs. Or if they do some of that stuff, I can't remember. I remember for like a 20-year-old man or something, it's on you. And if you don't have a job that can pay for those multiple thousands, well, now you're missing a leg. So how are you going to work to get that leg back? You're going to work a job in a wheelchair until you earn enough money to pay for your ACL. So this is a huge, huge advantage. I could have relaxed like a professional athlete that had a pro basketball player dad. Now, the issue is, if you don't have a pro Del Curry as a dad, Steph Curry's dad, pushing you to it, I think Finland doesn't inspire that type of like, I want to get out of here, so I'm going to go do this extra. Kind of comparing it to the wrestling in Cuba or whatever it is, where it's like the dude that is the best wrestler gets 3 meals a day. The guy that's the second best gets 2. And from there, nobody else gets food or some shit like this. So you see there's like an incentive to get the fuck out or to be great. And so that incentive to be great, life is so good. Or you have maybe it's not that life is so good, but you have all the things you need taken care of. So maybe this doesn't make so many tough champions. Actually, we might be more ahead for how many people we have here. If we've got one person in the NBA, that's, I think, more than all of India. So I think the training here for basketball is probably better than all of India. Oh, the stereotyping offending you. I'm sorry. It's funny that people would be offended by stereotyping, but you have no problem with Asians having their own league that I can't play in at all, or that they have a 6'5" and under league. or 6'4" or something like that. But anybody that's my height, I'm not allowed to play. Not because I'm not a nice guy, but just because of my size and because I'm the wrong race. Yeah, no problems there. I know. Only when if a white guy does it, then yeah, then you look like, yeah. So I think I would be more professional with the mindset if I came from Europe. I think I would be more humble, which could be harmful. But all the stuff off the court, which is normally the biggest shit for men in the US, I think you can avoid that with the types of respect and for rules and respect for the culture that people have here. It's quite impressive. It's contagious. It makes you want to act like a better person when you see somebody else care about their community or their neighbors or stuff like that. So I think the stress in training is a lot lower. It's not like gymnastics where they're making kids cry and hold on to the bars for a long time. So it's probably a lot less stressful than the US one, because you're going to get thrown against wolves constantly. You're going to have politics. It's going to be hard for you. You got to be way ahead to be able to earn the ball, having the ball in your hand in the US. But you might end up on some teams where nobody can do anything. And you might have only one scorer and nobody else can shoot in the US. Where here, I played in the second division this year, and we have played multiple teams where teams have shot 45 to 50% from behind the three-point line. And that's incredible. But I mean, for that level, I can't believe it. Now, in the US, no, you're lucky if you have one, maybe two shooters on the team, and they might think they're shooters, and they might not even be that. But also, the US doesn't have to live or die by the three. We really do try to go smash it into the rim. You just won't have raw athletes come from it. I don't think you're ever going to find a guy that's 6'10", 6'8", big body, and is just hired to be a rebounder or just a monster at doing something well. Because I'm not so sure if they really know how to plug that guy in with the system. This is overgeneralization. I don't know much about the coaching. I do know that the coaches here know quite a lot more than I do. There are some guys that have rocked my world with the education they've given me. One guy had a team that he didn't need to shoot layups. A layup was less points per possession than if he would kick it out behind the three-point line, because he had a guy that shot 60%, and they figured with the rebounding that they would get 2.1 points per possession. So that's better than getting a wide open dunk, which you might miss 1% of, whatever. So literally you could have the dunk, come up for it, and then still kick it back out for the three, because better. Strange. I've never seen that kind of basketball where it makes more sense to be outside shooting than it does to even take a layup, wide open layup. So I'm always learning. I'm trying to be open-minded. Man, I should make a video about what my main goal on this type of thing, on this type of channel is, because there's no course for it yet. Oh well, I'll do that in the future.